Mr. Antonacci.
Here.
Chief Carlson. Mr. Cranebucker. Mr. Ratajkowski.
Here.
At this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our solicitor.
So we're here for a public hearing and I'm going to read it. Repealing Chapter 27 of the Manor Borough Code ordinances related to zoning, also known as the Manor Borough Zoning Ordinance, and replacing Chapter 27 in its entirety, providing general provisions in conformity with the Manor Borough Comprehensive Plan, further providing for definitions, additionally providing for zoning districts along with permitted uses, conditional uses, and special exceptions and regulations associated with said districts and uses, and a map outlining the location of said districts, which has not been changed. Also providing for supplemental regulations governing non-conforming uses and structures along with various general performance standards, further providing for the administration and enforcement of the Manor Borough zoning ordinance, along with providing for the right to appeal from adverse decisions, and additionally providing for continued operation of the Manor Borough Zoning Hearing Board. This matter was duly advertised in two newspaper articles, and I will get you the dates if you just give me a minute.
September 30th and October 7th.
So September 30th and October 7th. We also sent the ordinance, the proposed ordinance that was recommended by the Planning Commission to the Westmoreland County Planning and Development. Westmoreland County generated a letter back to Manor Borough dated September 17th, 2024. I'm going to read on the record regarding the Westmoreland County's comments. Please be advised that Westmoreland County Department of Planning and Development has received the proposed Manor Borough zoning ordinance update. This document was last received on August 20th, 2024. For the purpose of this letter is to provide comments to Manor Borough Council and the Zoning Hearing Board on the ordinance. The first comment is the department is of the opinion that local land use decisions are best made at the local level. However, the department has a responsibility per the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, MPC, to ensure orderly development and review of ordinances as they are proposed by local agencies. Our comments are not to be construed as prescriptive instructions, rather as suggestions to improve the quality of life for residents of Manor Borough and the county as a whole. Moreover, our view is that the department has a regional scale to consider. The department has reviewed the proposed ordinance against the MPC, Westmoreland County Comprehensive Plan, and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, fair housing policies, and offers the following comments. Per the MPC, first comment is consider provisions for regulating transferable development rights. Second comment, consider provisions to encourage innovation and to promote flexibility, economy, ingenuity, and development. Number 3, overall, the proposed ordinance appears to be consistent with the MPC. Per the Westmoreland County Comprehensive Plan, the first comment is consider allowing for mixed use in multifamily building types in additional districts. This would draw from Westmoreland County's Comprehensive Plan, Reimaging our Westmoreland Strategy 3.2. Providing housing options incorporating this concept will help provide housing options for residents. The second bullet point, overall, the proposed ordinance appears to be consistent with the county's comprehensive plan. Per fair housing policies, to better meet fair housing standards, group homes should be allowed by right in all districts that allow single-family dwellings by right. Second bullet point, mobile homes should be treated as single-family dwellings and be allowed in all districts that allow single-family dwellings by right. And the last bullet point, ample land must be zoned and available for multifamily housing. Consider permitting multifamily dwellings outside of planned residential developments in other districts besides R2. The last statement in the letter is general comments. Consider adding tenants to your definition sections to add clarity as to the term is referenced throughout the document. Second bullet point, please make sure that the zoning map corresponds with any updates, any and all updates from the ordinance if applicable. And then it was signed by, and I can't read the gentleman's name. It looks like Matthew something. I can't read his name. You know his name? And it's,
No, okay.
but
In
it's,
the email.
it's on the letterhead for Westmoreland County Department of Planning and Development. I also have an affidavit here. It indicates that Mr. Lapia, duly sworn, according to the law, deposes. It says that on the 20th day of August 2024, he emailed a copy of the proposed amendment ordinance set forth above. And the letter further states that they received it on the 20th. So now we're here today to hear from the public as well as council on the current proposed zoning amendment, which again is in its entirety, and it does include a new use table, off-street parking regulations, as well as the yard area and bulk requirements, in addition to the statements that are set forth in the ordinance. I did receive the proof of publication that I want to attach as an exhibit, and I'll mark it as Exhibit 1 that reflects that this was published in Penn Trafford News on both days previously mentioned. I'd like to mark as Exhibit 2 the Westmoreland County Department of Planning and Development letter dated September 17th, 2024. And that is it for me right now until we get public comment or comment from council.
Chelsea, do you need that name?
If you have it,
Yeah.
what is it?
It is Nathan Claire, C-L-A-I-R.
Well, I thought that said Matthew, but Nathan Claire. Yep. Okay. So, let me ask this, does council want to speak first, and then we'll go to public, or I'm happy to do it either which way. You want to go first?
Yeah, I need to give background on it.
Sure.
2 years ago, we had residents coming into the borough stating issues that they had with selling their properties and refinancing. And the reason why was because their properties were taken from residential and turned into CBD, a commercial business district. That was done by a previous council for whatever reason, and it encumbered enough area that it really put these properties in a very bad position. They couldn't do anything with them. And it was a significant amount of properties throughout the borough. So we looked at it and found that if the planning commission should review it and take a look at it, and we found it to be extremely deep. There was a lot of properties involved. So came back to council, explained what the planning commission had done. They had given us a budget that would allow us to take a strong look at getting this zoning ordinance and zoning map correct. And the zoning map passed almost a year ago, and that map now took all of the residential properties in Manor Borough and put them in the residential district. Commercial properties in commercial properties, and so on with agriculture, light industrial. So it basically brought the town back into what it's being used for today, is what their zoning ordinance designation was listed. Following the passing of the map, we had to redo the zoning ordinance that's the subject of tonight, because the ordinance was in conflict with the map in enough different places that the planning commission spent upwards of another year going over every page, every item, every description, every word in here, painstakingly detailed. So that brings us to where we are today, is we're just bringing the zoning ordinance up to date with the map that was previously passed. And I believe strongly that since we had our engineer and solicitor involved with this process, don't believe there's a property that's been hurt by this, and more than not, it is a lot of gain from it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cherry. So, does other members of council want to make statements, or do you want me to move on? I can go to the public, and then we could also, after public comment, we could come back to possibly additional questions by council. So, the first person I have is Robert Kunkel. If you could just come up and state your name for the record.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Robert Kunkel. I'm an attorney here on behalf of my clients, Germac Developers. I would like to make a request on the record for the rezoning of two parcels, parcel 19-01-06-0-002 and parcel 19-01-06-0-003. These are lots 11 and 12 of the Sandywood Place Phase 1 development. They were initially zoned as a R1 suburban residential district. A temporary maintenance easement was granted from the developer to the borough several years ago, and in relation to that, just these two parcels within the Phase 1 development were rezoned to open space district. I'm requesting on the record that we get these rezoned to R1 suburban residential district. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kunkel, I do have, just to put on the record, both of those parcels presently have a stormwater detention pond in the back of the parcels for Phase 1 and Phase 2 of those developments, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And if we would rezone them to R1, you're anticipating that you would do then a subdivision to subdivide those stormwater detention ponds back, so that they're separate parcels.
Yes, Ms. Dice, and I believe it is the intention of my client to then dedicate said stormwater detention parcel to Manor.
Okay. And do you know, to your knowledge, do you know if that stormwater retention pond has been maintained by the municipality over the years?
I am not aware.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
It has been,
Okay,
since it was put in.
since it's been put in, okay. Does council have any questions for Mr. Kunkel?
I do. If we are to, in this zoning change, add this change you're requesting, my first thought is that if the borough owns the detention pond, you called it a temporary maintenance agreement.
the former agreement was a temporary maintenance agreement, although I'm sure if we're transferring ownership of the subdivided parcel to you, anything that's required to make sure that easement access is permanent would be properly papered.
Well, being an attorney, I guess, for your client as well, you would think that without seeing this from today to the end, you would wanna see that in writing on how we're gonna get there and have that signed off prior to the other side giving up everything they have. So, you know, my belief is that, if tonight we are to rezone it instead of letting you go through the zoning hearing board, what is the warrant that we have that says that your client is bound to do that subdivision, is bound to make sure that that portion that Manor Borough had previously accepted the plan, believing, for whatever reason, what they missed in paperwork back then, realistically, what you're asking for should have been done when that plan was done. But the problem became when your client sold it and the rest of the plan was developed, that buyer believed they dedicated all of those 2 lots to the borough. It's our solicitor who said that there is not documentation saying that, and that there could be a better argument for proof that your clients own those 2 lots. But how will we, tonight, make sure that this subdivision comes forward? We have to also make sure that that subdivision meets all the requirements of the subdivision ordinance. Are they gonna remain buildable lots in size, setbacks in place? What happens with the right-of-way that you're using today to get to a detention pond? You know, I think there's a lot of questions there before, during the subdivision, planning first has to review, council has to approve. There's a lot of questions in there that we could be concerned about tonight, that the chances of them happening, I don't want to put a number to that.
So if I might address some of your points, I do not have anything that I can provide you that is a guaranteed assurance. I can tell you that my client dropped off a check to Mr. Lapia last week related to the 2022 subdivision application that did not go through. I have been engaged specifically for the rezoning and subdivision process, and that it is their intention in full faith to move forward with this process, and I think evidence demonstrating that would be the payment of nearly $1,000 to Mr. Lapia.
Yeah, but was that payment not from services during the denial? Was that not engineering and legal?
It was engineering and legal reviews from when they were here in 2022, which never even got to.
There was no denial.
Denial.
Well-
They started the process and then it kind of just went away.
Well, it came to the planning commission. At the planning commission, they didn't bring anything to support what they were doing. So we asked them to bring in a digital document. The next meeting never made it to that meeting.
I can't speak to what occurred before I was there, but I do have property boundary surveys of both lots showing applicable setbacks after the subdivision, which they had contemplated.
But I understand that, but if we have already gone through the process and there was a second representative that came in from the owner, and we again just asked for the same thing at the planning commission, and it was never provided again. So, you know, I don't know how you want to convince 7 people here, or 6 and myself, that if the process had been not turned down, but asked for the additional documents, which were simplest of things, how do we know that's ever going to go if we go ahead and give away your detention pond tonight? You rezone that, our detention ponds are in open space today because of the reason that open space does not allow development of any kind. So if there was an error made, I think in this, there's been a lot of errors made over the years, but if we were to try to solve this problem, let the gentleman do what he would in his property like we would anyone else. All I'm asking for is that, how do we make a motion to do something that the track record says it will never happen? I would rather find some assurance that that can happen. If that's a matter of we go on with what we've already been doing, which in this process, we've done nothing to those lots. Am I correct?
You're correct. He's in
Okay.
here asking to rezone them from open
Right.
space to R1s.
Right, and that is not what we're here tonight to do, because what they are is not addressed in here. So we're not turning them into open space tonight. That was done previously some years ago.
You're correct.
So for that reason, what he's asking for tonight is not a change in what we're doing tonight.
He's asking for something additional.
Right, he's asking for something that typically goes to the zoning hearing board. And the zoning hearing board can deal with his zoning issue.
We would still address though through planning. You would have to go through the same process. You would have to go through the same process. You go to planning
It
first.
says zoning amendment plan.
Yeah, you would have to go to planning first and then come to a public hearing to amend and then go forward and council then. And by the way, tonight, you are not making a decision. You are just hearing. The hearing may end tonight. It can last for many nights if you so choose. But once the record's closed, then council can adopt, make any type of change they want, or, say, no, I don't want to do this at all. So, in this instance, because it was following the same process and they were coming in, because this issue came up along, coinciding with us already scheduling a hearing on a total zoning amendment. It was recommended, come and piggyback off of this. Council can accept or deny. That's up to you guys when you vote on it.
Well, if we were going through the process that included everything that they're talking about now doing in the future, we don't have the biggest idea when that future is tonight. And you have no guarantee it's even gonna show up, but they're asking us to take the document that does not refer to them and amend it to change what, if they need a zoning change, they're in front of the zoning or planning, and at that point, I mean, why are we going around the system in essence to come to where we are today?
Because, and it was my recommendation to do this because, and it's not going around the system, they came in for planning and then never fully put on the application for the request for rezoning. And we got into who owned the parcel. It is my legal opinion, they own the parcel, not us.
I agree.
And there was a demand, potentially a demand for, if we took, is there an argument of whether we took this parcel away from them? Now, I'm not getting into the legalities of whether we have a defense or not, and whether we provided a ample notice. Previously, you guys already rezoned this. I didn't look into, was it adopted or was it advertised twice? Was it put out there and posted properly when it was rezoned to open space? That being said, to avoid additional litigation, because we do not own that parcel, and instead of going to court over that, it has to get, they're gonna be eligible to be rezoned back. We are not gonna win that battle.
Yeah, but see, I understand that, but
And
here's
so
what I
I'm-
disagree with. The engineer can probably support this. In any subdivision, when you dedicate an area, whether that's a right-of-way called a road, a sewer line, a sewage treatment plant, or a stormwater facility, the one who's actually dedicating or putting that on that specific area has designated that for those portions of development. So you can't take back a road that during your approval process that was approved to have a road in this, and the plan says all of its meets and bounds in the entire plan. The original developer, his client, took lots 11 and 12 and said, least developable lots on my subdivision, and they sit low enough down over the hill that the water will drain into there from a portion of the development. Well, when that was originally approved, way back then, was it not dedicated at those two lots for this purpose? Or is it not practiced at that time? Regardless if they accepted it or not, they made a big error at the borough if they said, that's all right, go ahead and do it on, put our facility on your lot, but you can keep owning it. That doesn't happen. And
It
when-
shouldn't happen, Chuck, but that's what happened.
Right.
And so I think the quickest, cleanest way to help them move forward with this, and they're indicating that they are gonna subdivide and dedicate. And of course, we would require, you have to have right-of-ways to get in there and get out.
Yeah, but see, don't you think that before we would do this, saving them going through a process that they pulled out of, and now we're going to let them
Well, that-
come here and do it without going through the process everybody else has to go through. And now, if that would be the case, then now we're giving that land back, and it is not fully described for us tonight. Where's the subdivision line? Do we have our engineer looking at this subdivision line saying, this has to be a permanent right of way, not a, you know what I mean?
Chuck, we're not talking about a subdivision tonight, we're only talking about changing the lots back from open space to residential R1. The subdivision, he still has to go through the
Yes,
planning.
he has questioned to get this zoning, he will do these things. So.
He's putting it on record, public record, this is a
Because
public
what-
hearing.
okay, then let me ask you this. What do we do if you do this tonight, or at least when we adopt it? We can't vote on this tonight.
Right,
But if we go to adopt it and we put that language in here, and it's 3 months from now, and no subdivision application has taken place, if it's 6 months from now, and everything that was said tonight does not occur, what's our repercussion for that?
we would probably go in and file mandamus action, forcing them to go forward per the statement on the record to subdivide and make sure they dedicate the stormwater retention pond to us. That's the way I would do it, if they refuse or fail to do what they say they're
So we're
doing.
sitting in front of a judge, though, he just said, what's that document? And we have this, and that's enough.
I'm not saying it's enough, but we've maintained it for years, and it's for those developments. Those taxpayers, all those residents needed that stormwater retention pond.
Exactly.
So, in that sense, I believe, now I can't say for sure, and I think most of those cases it would be before Judge Smale. He's very well versed in zoning, and he would agree that they would need to do this. So again, it was an idea because there was an issue
I think I sent it.
of who actually owned the parcel, and it was thought that we did, and it's not us.
Yeah, but,
They own it.
but you as well, you and I were both at that planning commission meeting, and, we did nothing to stop the process. If he would have just followed the process, the next month's meeting, he probably would have had what he's looking for, and council would have accepted that. But,
Well, we would have then had to do a public hearing, the same thing that we're doing now, and then follow through. You'd have to do the appropriate advertising and
Sure.
everything else.
right, but the system is in place.
Chuck,
They stepped out of it, and now they're asking you to convince us to go the short route, and I'm just very uncomfortable with it.
And that's right.
Chelsea, I believe I sent you several ordinances concerning Sandy.
You
I
did.
believe one of those was us accepting both stormwater retention ponds in that development.
Okay. I'd have to go back and look, but I can, again, that's his request tonight. If you guys have more questions about it, I can do research on whether I feel that we've actually have been appropriately dedicated, because I believe the individuals that had dedicated it was not Germac. It
No,
was
but that-
somebody else,
That
and
was
they,
Manor Development, and Manor Development, when this first came on our table, I made the call to them and said, if I need your documentation, when you dedicated that entire plan to Manor Borough, was that included? He said, we never miss it, because they've been doing developments, that group, for a very long time. And they said, we never walk away from a development owning a piece of land. So then the question became, when you bought it, did it include all of the Germac-owned properties in the development,
and no,
which would have been 11 and 12?
and the answer is
He
no.
believed it was.
I know, but the
It was
answer
all-
is, and I confirmed with Westmoreland County,
That it
it
did not
is,
transfer.
no, it was not, they own the property. We
Yeah, and
did
you know
not.
what, I
Yeah.
really don't want to waste their time or anyone else's with arguing who owns what or who did what in the past. We asked them at the planning commission to just come through the process like everybody else. Nobody was trying to slow them down. Just make sure that you bring in what the engineer could not review, bring these documents in, and let's keep it moving. Well, when they stopped it twice, it just doesn't, let's say it doesn't feel right. We have a process, we ask all of our residents to do that, follow the process that we have. If it's not being followed, I don't think we should make an exception, let's call it. So, just my opinion. But I am agreeing with the fact that if he goes through the system, I don't see any reason, like you said, that he wouldn't get through. I'm just saying, stay in the system, that's what we're all trying to be here and do. Thank you. Sorry. I
Any
was
other?
bad.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Coco. I am Bonnie Dawson.
Do you want this now?
Sure,
Can I give you a minute?
sure.
All right, so, Bonnie Dawson, 341 Road Road, Manor. So I was tasked with going through and proofreading, a new planning. Waited for the final version to start doing that officially. So I've gone through, the majority of it, have come across some inconsistencies with formatting, bullet points, paragraphs and line spacing, that sort of thing. Font sizes are different, font types are different. Yeah, so the major, do you want me to do the major stuff?
Sure, or do you have a list, or what do you
It's
have?
just in here.
Okay,
Okay.
can you give me a page number?
Yeah. I'm not gonna go over like spelling, or like smoke, should be smoked. On page 16, under obstruction.
Yes?
The last line, or above the last line, also any structure, growth, or other object, including a mobile object, which exceeds a limit in height in the airport overlay district, I think we could take out.
Yeah.
We have an airport coming, you know that?
I did not get that memo.
He's on Dave's property.
It didn't come through planning. Page 21.
And what I'm doing, Bonnie, is just doing track changes on this as you state them, and then if council decides to agree with those changes, then, you know, when they decide to adopt. Go ahead.
Under A1 agriculture, hyphen open space district should be removed.
Yeah. That was
That was one of my questions
What page?
too.
It's It's just supposed to say agriculture, not open
20.
space.
Page 21, Chuck.
Gotcha, sorry.
Section 302.
Yeah. By the way, Bonnie's was in editing, right?
Yeah. Page 30, number 4.
Give me a second. Yep,
Subsections D 1 through 4. I just wasn't sure what that was referring to.
wait, which subsection?
D 1 through 4 herein. I wasn't sure where that went back to.
Wait a minute.
You said section 4, right?
Yeah, number 4,
Okay,
the last row.
where the existing encroachment is a combination of the required yard and height.
Is it not 3 paragraphs above it?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's how I read it.
yes, so see where it says D above it?
Okay,
Yep.
all right, so we forget about that one.
Legalese.
Sorry.
I said legalese.
Yeah, so number 30, page 31, letter C. Second line that begins with noxious. If you go to the end where it says with the performance standards of this chapter, the borough's subdivision.
So I need to take out chapter.
Yeah,
Hold on, 31, chapter.
page 31, letter C,
Okay.
second line.
The word chapter is there twice.
Yeah, but is that not, that's in the performance standards of this chapter, should there not be a number there?
It would be the
That's what I thought.
subdivision land development ordinance, which would
Were you,
be,
I thought you were trying to refer to a chapter in the subdivision and land development,
Just
because
did that.
I had a question mark there too, because
It's-
I wasn't sure.
it's whatever the chapter, is that 22?
Yes. Wait,
I believe so.
I believe so. Okay.
So 22 needs to be added on the second.
Yeah, it's
Chapter.
referring to the subdivision land development ordinance. That's what it
Yes, it is
needed
22.
22.
it is 22. So really, you just need to put chapter 22?
Correct.
22 of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Page 32,
You're killing me, Vaughn.
yeah, I'm skipping over like
Okay.
the typos and stuff, so.
I know, she's gonna give me the typos, which I will correct. Those are just de minimis that I will make sure I correct regardless. And I'm gonna sit with my secretary to make sure she does all the font and the lining. That's above my pay grade.
That being the case, can you two provide that to each other and do that before Wednesday? And then if you tell us that all of our concerns have been met, are we done, or do you want her to go through all these?
Well, I do want her to go through substantive ones. If they're typos, I can address those, but I know there's one in here where we say code enforcement officer and it should be zoning officer. She indicated that, and so I do want that on the record to fix those kinds of things.
All right, so page 32, under adult arcade definition, where it says all adult arcades must be constructed in accordance with the diagram attached in the addendum.
That was a Unity Township. I recommend that we would remove that because that's a Unity Township diagram. Gary, when he created this, had that language in there. I didn't even look at that. So that was my fault, but I recommend we take out the diagram. It's the last sentence, all adult arcades.
What section?
It is it's A1A, adult arcade, last sentence.
Because my pages are a little bit different on here.
Got it?
Okay, sorry.
That's
So
okay.
on page 34,
Yep.
Go to establishment or established. 1, 2, 3, 4,
5,
1.
6.
Knowing or knowingly, I think should be its own.
Those
It
are,
shouldn't be a 1, right? I think.
so. I think what it should be is A and B tabbed in. 4, 5, 6, hold on a minute. This is a definition, so it shouldn't have a number at all.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna backspace it out. See, in my spacing, I can't do that. So I removed it.
But number 2 doesn't fit the same, does it?
And then this is the age of a minor provided, however. Okay, so this is a separate number. Number 2 should be removed and added as, hold on a minute. Knowing and knowingly should be number 5. Defining, and that next one should be 6. You see what I'm,
So then knowing and knowingly, the formatting needs to change on that. Then.
right,
Yeah, but
My
the
apologies.
second paragraph, the age of a minor.
that's
Is it not
under,
a part of the knowing and knowingly?
no, it's not. It's saying that, this is giving another, hold on a minute, having knowledge. This is a separate, this should not be here at all, this should be
Yeah.
separate.
That's,
I apologize, so this is another, let me make this. Because these are all definitions for sexually oriented businesses. Hold on a minute.
should, knowing or knowingly is its own definition.
Right,
So that shouldn't have a number at all.
right, that should move out, and then, hold on a minute. The age of a minor provided, however, that an honest mistake shall constitute an excuse from liability in there. So that is part of that definition, my apologies, okay. That's part of knowing and knowingly, and that should be popped out and not have. So let me, mine won't let me do this, but hold on a minute. So knowing and knowingly will be a definition, and that sentence, number 2, is part of that age of the minor, like you said, Chuck.
So it'll move up
Yeah,
into that paragraph.
into that paragraph if this stupid machine would let me do that. I'm getting there.
Maybe after non-student, she's letting.
I'm that. All right, I'll try to, I'm gonna write a note. Ooh, this.
So I sorted that and scratched out.
Okay, yep. Go ahead.
Page 35, this is just a sentence, nudity or state of nudity. The appearance of a human bear buttock. I think it should say the appearance of a bear human buttock. I don't know.
Where are you?
Maybe
Nude or
you
nude?
say
3.
Of 8.
35.
I think it's written that way, Bonnie, because it's human bear buttocks, common, human anus, humus.
Yeah, like it's human, bear,
It's
buttocks,
assuming that
anus,
human
genitals,
applies to all of them.
yeah.
But then you could put the bear.
You want to put bear?
Imply the all. But I don't know, like it could be argued, I think, either way, so whatever. Whatever makes more sense.
I'm just adding bear. It does, but she's saying in front of each of them.
Page 36 is where we have the 2 code enforcement officer.
Yeah, so that needs to change. This should be the zoning officer. No, without a doubt.
Where's that?
It's the leader zoning
Permanent.
officer.
Under C, permit required, semicolon application.
This should
Under viewing booths.
be correct.
Yeah, I have the same note for that. And it repeats it on 3 too.
Yep, I got it.
Where is it repeat?
In 2 and 3, it has code enforcement
Oh,
officer.
yeah.
Later in it, on D, it's zoning officer. I just missed those ones.
Page 41. Which, Joe, it's K, location of sexually oriented businesses and violations. I think injunction, should that be a J?
Let me go back up and, yeah, that should be a J.
Wait, what did you say should be Jay?
So, if you look at the way it's aligned, location of sexually oriented businesses and violations is K.
Okay,
Then it has all these additional, and then injunction should be J.
no, it should be L, right?
JK.
JKL.
Oh. Thanks, Joe. You're correct.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be L.
Yeah, see, Bonnie. And it just indented on me, and I don't know if that's correct or not, but.
No, what about right after that, we talked about agriculture?
So agriculture conversions is the next use, or next type of use. So first we had sexually oriented businesses, and we have all these regulations associated with them.
Okay.
Now we're dealing with agricultural conversions. That's number 2.
Are you good?
Yep,
Page 51,
let me get there.
under daycare centers.
One daycare.
16?
16, yep.
Under C, there's 1, 2, and where it says the outdoor play space, I think that might supposed to be a 3.
2, yes.
What was the question about?
Where it says 1, it starts out with 1 outdoor play area shall join.
Okay.
And then number 2 should be the outdoor play area shall be no closer. Number 3 should be the outdoor play space shall be completely enclosed. So I'm
And
just,
then 3 becomes 4.
yeah. If I can get my computer to do it. I'm just gonna write it this way and then we'll fix it. Okay,
Page 55, under roadside stands. Joe, it's under 20 farms and agriculture uses.
okay,
Number 6, in the judgment of the code enforcement officer, I just wanted to make sure that was supposed to be code enforcement and not zoning.
it should be zoning, but where?
Okay.
Number
Yep.
6.
For purposes of this
C6.
section, wagons, trailers, or other similar vehicles.
Third line.
It feels like we just.
Third line.
Third line.
Judgment of.
Oh wait, I'm on 54, that's why, sorry.
Yeah, 56. Roadside stands, E. That is E of section 20. Farms and agricultural. E roadside stands.
Why did I not see, oh, roadside stand.
B6.
Okay, E
Yep,
roadside
it
stands.
should be zoning officer.
6. There you go.
Do you want to leave code enforcement in there as well? Because if they're here, I mean, most of the time the zoning officer is not
Well-
going to be here. What if the code enforcement officer, i.e. the police, would get a complaint about an access issue? you can't
You
do
could do
anything with it
and/or.
until the zoning officers say it's on a weekend. Somebody's selling, I don't know, whatever. You might not be able to, he might not be able to address it till Monday. If it's creating a hazard or an access issue, you wanna leave both in there.
Well, the code enforcement officers, two code enforcement officers in town. There's the police as property maintenance code, and there's the UCC code enforcement officer, which is the zoning officer.
But he's not called a code, he's not called, he's the building code official / zoning official.
So you could
So,
put it as
yeah.
code enforcement you could do an and or you could do code
That's just
enforcement
a
officer
question, I mean,
or, and so then it gives them the authority to do either individual, whether it's the police that are doing code enforcement, or now, what you might run into is you have people say, well, I thought they were doing it, and I thought the police were doing it, and I thought the zoning was doing it, so, but you could open the door for either.
Well, can't we just put it in?
Can you not put in there, the judgment of the zoning officer or a code enforcement officer, which makes it any one of the police?
Yeah, just put zoning officer / code enforcement officer.
that-
Alright, so, let me just do this, hold on. There we go, okay.
Page 56, under group homes. No group home shall be conducted, I think it should be located.
So
Within
where's
500
this?
feet.
Yeah, it should be
Under
located.
group homes, number 23.
Located.
Thank you.
And then page 57, number 5 and letter I, they both discuss fencing. So I feel like it should be its own subsection or worded differently.
Where we are?
Say, under group homes,
Oh, still in the group.
H, the group home must, and then number 5, at a minimum, the property shall be surrounded and enclosed by a fence. And then I, the resident shall be fenced in, with all this other stuff. I feel like, should they be together?
I can put it all together, so let's do this. Take out the first sentence of I and add the remaining paragraph to 5. Such fence shall not have openings, holes, or gaps therein larger than 4 inches.
Because you're only requiring a 4-foot high fence.
If you think it
Yeah,
should be higher,
I thought we talked about that and we agreed on the 6 foot.
I mean, if your intent is to limit access, I mean, a
Yeah.
6-foot would certainly be more of a deterrent than a 4-foot. A lot of people can jump a 4-foot fence fairly easy.
Yeah.
so if council so desires, when you adopt this, like when we do this, and I'm making these changes now, that being said, you guys don't have to accept any of these changes, or you can accept them all, and you'll see them, so you can say, yeah, I'd rather have it, I like it presented how Bonnie
So
suggested.
if we, to say that at the next meeting of having this issue then, can we not discuss it now, and let's say we went to 6 foot, and we kinda had that consensus around the table, you can plug it in now, we'll have it ready for you.
Correct, that's what my goal is.
Yeah.
But you technically can't vote on it, it's just you guys have discussed, and I am presently amending it as we go. It sounds like everybody's consensus. That being said, when the motion happens, if someone motions to approve, you have to approve it with the changes discussed at the public meeting. And I'll help you with that. Because I'm assuming you're gonna be making the motion, but,
Probably.
okay.
I'm wondering if the same fencing requirement should be added to halfway house as well.
I can add the,
They're kind of two different things.
Hey, real quick question.
Yes.
If you remove the I, then J's gotta become I. right?
So I goes, the first sentence will be taken out of I, and when it starts with such offense shall not have
So I is
opening.
still I.
No, it's gonna go up to 5,
Okay, so J should become I then.
correct. Yeah, it did on my computer. It did it for me. I didn't even notice that.
If you reformat, you know, put H the group home and then kind of list them underneath, so it's would it be better to like reformat that paragraph so it's easier to read, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 underneath it instead of just all in a paragraph format?
Yeah, if you want me to do that.
Well, I'm just, for the average person that's gonna look at this, it might be easier for them to just scan through that off the bottom.
Okay. So you're saying, Joe, just quickly,
Yeah, like the group home must, and you have, and list your numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, much like you've done other things
yeah,
in here.
all right, I will, because it describes the type of fence and all weather resistant. Okay, I can try to, it'll just increase the number of numbers for the fencing, but I can do that.
Hey, what's another page, my friend?
Give me a second. I just wanna make a note. Make this. Numbers. Okay.
So you started to say about the fencing.
Oh, halfway house. Somebody said, should we do the same fencing at the halfway house?
I'm thinking, yeah.
All right, well, I'll add it in there and council can, and again, this is notes from here, so council can accept, deny, or whatever, and I will put that in there. Okay.
Under home occupation, V, general standards, number 11. The home occupation hours of operation shall be limited to 8 AM to 8 PM, Monday through Saturday. Could we possibly get rid of no operation shall be permitted on Sundays? And allow home-based or home occupation?
Which letter is that?
11.
11.
And this is under the group home stuff.
No, this
this
is
is
under
home
home occupation.
Or home occupation, home businesses, right? Essentially.
No, home-based. no,
Essentially,
that is
you're
different.
working out of your house,
Right.
not really bringing in anybody from the outside your house, but you might be an accountant that emails tax returns or whatever it may be. People aren't coming to your house, just signing those returns. And what Bonnie's asking is, can we extend it and just do it 8 to 8 Monday through the entire week instead of
Right.
not allowing it on Sundays?
Through Saturday.
Now frankly, I don't know how the municipality would actually be able to prove that somebody was working in their home on a Sunday, but,
Well, if there's cars coming and going.
well, they're not
What about
supposed,
their tax returns
they're not supposed to be coming and going, so,
on Sunday.
So this
any
is,
day.
this is different than a home-based business, this
Yeah.
is just a home occupation where they're just working within the home themselves.
Yeah,
Maybe
Shall
like
be
almost somebody
permitted-
working from home for another company, right? Same difference.
Like, shall be permitted to arrange transfer pickups or pre-ordered items, that sort of thing, to allow that to happen on a Sunday.
I don't see any.
I believe that goes back to the 1950s.
Would think so too.
well, I'll put it in there and then council can decide, it's just your suggestions, I'm gonna mark this as Bonnie's suggestions.
So you're saying through Sunday,
8 to 8,
okay.
Monday through Sunday, 8 to 8.
Well, yeah, but you know, aren't we, where do we draw the line between, because, look, for example, those are in residential districts 9 out of 10 times. And we can't of operation in a commercial district. So if we're doing this, it has to be, wouldn't have to be by, in the specific zoning classification, is why that there is a reason why we went to, set work hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely residential, it's a home occupation, so
Yeah.
I mean, you might have somebody living in a commercial zone right now that is in an apartment that is working out of their home, but,
So you're
so it's
saying,
up to you guys, but,
I'm sorry, I just was trying to clarify something. So if somebody's, doing some kind of computer work, that's their job, they work on their computer at home, okay, for their business. Now, what about the people who are working with international people who work with, Japan and Taiwan and stuff, who are completely on the other side of the world, who are awake while we're sleeping, and so these people might be out working at night because the other half of the world they're working for is daylight, and that's their workday.
Yeah, but I think we're missing the key point of this. It's not about them physically working in the house, it's about traffic flow to the house.
So like a tax.
You're right, so in other words, somebody doing exactly what you said can work all night long, it doesn't matter, it's not disturbing anybody, but the wife who, wants the light turned on.
Yeah.
Okay?
Good
So
luck with that.
other than that, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, if he has people coming to pick up paperwork or whatever, it is, that's what we wanna draw the line at.
Would that be considered a home business then, Chuck, and not a home occupation? I thought a home occupation doesn't allow for foot traffic or vehicle traffic.
you're correct.
Yeah,
So I think what you're saying, it would be a home-based business where you would have foot traffic, vehicle traffic, like an
but it does
accountant.
have to require the 2 off-street parkings.
So Terry, I have to wonder if are you talking about the computer programmer that is self-employed and working from their home? Or are you talking about the computer program that is employed by someone else
Both.
working from their home?
Both. What I was trying to understand is, are they saying that these people aren't supposed to be working in their house past 8 o'clock at night until 8 in the morning? But I gather then, I guess that's okay, regardless of which one of the two you mentioned. But they're just saying as long as we don't have physical traffic going in and out of the place between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning. So they're not gonna get UPS drop-offs and FedExes and what's that other one, that drops off paperwork in the middle.
Amazon comes in the middle of the night anyway.
Yeah, that's not controllable by anyone. Home
Okay.
occupation though, the definition here is the service-oriented occupations of an architect, an engineer, a clergyman, a lawyer, an artist, a musician, a writer, a teacher giving instruction. So Mrs. Smith can't give piano lessons on a Sunday. Like, that doesn't make sense to me anymore.
No.
Well, I think it goes back to, go back even further, I think we go back to the blue laws in Pennsylvania where most things you weren't allowed to, where stores weren't open on Sundays. You couldn't have sporting events before a certain time in the afternoon, to try to keep the character and the family nature of like Sundays for family and stuff.
So then, would you be open to the home occupation hours of operation shall be limited to 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.? Something legalese about people coming to the home or leaving the home to conduct business, but after that, it's whatever, because it's not affecting anyone else outside of the house.
Yeah, but we're actually trying to clarify something inside a person's, this is a primary resident who's actually operating a business without employees, partners, or anyone like that. We are now trying to overload the fact that all we're looking for is, for visitors to that business from 8 to 8, period. What goes on after 8 o'clock in that house, if somebody's working overtime at their own business, at their own home, in their own dining room,
But without.
I don't think we care to even know.
Yeah.
Monday through Sunday. Correct?
Sunday through Saturday.
Or whichever, however you want to work it out.
Yeah.
But remember, this does also allow for no sign, display or sign.
I don't think for a home occupation, you are allowed to have a sign.
No, you're
It's
not.
the home-based, no-impact business that's different without a sign.
Other than the nameplate affixed to the building. 6 inches by 24.
Do you want, if somebody has a home-based business, do you want to allow traffic in and out on a Sunday?
I honestly, in a residential district, would say no.
And I would think most people in the neighborhood
Yep.
would probably say no.
Yep, Saturday is because their business might be something that people who themselves work Monday to Friday need Saturday to get in. But Sunday,
So let me
you
throw
need a
this
neighbor
at you.
next door.
What if you have a business where traditionally Monday is your day off,
Right.
That's by choice though.
and Sunday is a work day?
But Mondays, you're taking a day off by choice, right?
Well,
Not
there are certain
necessarily.
businesses that are certain days off are kind of like a standard, even though you're making a choice, it is the standard, like bread business, there's no deliveries on Wednesdays.
Same with
None.
cosmetology, I feel like a lot of hairdressers,
Cosmetologists usually take Mondays off.
right, because they want the business on the weekend when
Right.
people are off to go get their hair, nails,
But,
whatever done.
but if you get the right, in this borough and probably most others, if you get the right to have a home business in a residential district, the town should not be in a position to turn that entire R district into a business because the business itself in the industry typically closes on a certain day, so we should allow it on that day. I mean, there is that point. If what we allow, look at every plan of homes in the town. And think about if you're in that plan of homes and right next door is a business that from 8 to 8, Monday through Saturday, they do have traffic and let's say your driveways are next to each other. And whatever it may be, there's gonna be some kind of in and out traffic. Don't you deserve in a residential district a day off from all that? You are the neighbor now. If you're the neighbor,
I can honestly tell you that my wife runs a business,
okay,
and if on a Sunday she's gonna have a car come in and get their hair cut, I've never heard my neighbors complain. Because basically it's one in, and if she has somebody else come in, it's one out.
yeah.
But you could have a business that's different though, right?
That is correct, but now you're telling her that she cannot do it, or any other cosmetologist.
Right, like I have a hairdresser that comes to.
But I think currently
On
you can't
Sundays.
do it on Sundays, correct?
Which I think is ludicrous.
But I mean, we're not changing, I mean, currently it's Monday through Saturday, correct? The way it's set up now.
I
Yeah.
believe so, yeah.
So we're not changing anything, right? We're just
not
keeping it the
changing, no,
same.
was that way.
Well, we're changing stuff in this, right?
No, I'm saying we weren't, what I meant was, we weren't making it more restrictive by saying.
I got what you're saying, yes, but Bonnie brought it up.
And
So
I
I'm
agree
giving my
with
opinion.
Bonnie, and that goes back to like the
You know.
1950s thinking, in my opinion.
Well, I will write it in as Bonnie's changes, and then council, you guys, when you vote, you have to make sure you let me know whether you want it Sunday, Sundays or Saturdays.
Yeah, cause like I have it right here, starting.
Somebody gonna send council all these changes, not just a revised document with a list of changes?
I was trying to write this
I'm
stuff
doing
down.
it track changes format right now.
I'm just
so
saying,
council
because
can-
when you come, when they're looking at it tomorrow, if they don't go
Well,
through all that and the changes, they might not even remember what the changes are.
I'm doing
This
it
is, I
red.
think, the first one that's really reached to the level for us to really give
Have a
time.
conversation.
Yeah, because it's a big
It
update.
is a bigger issue than anything else that's come up yet.
So if we could just remember that home occupation is service oriented. So a music teacher can be given 2 people piano lessons at the same time. A locksmith, programmer, accountant. So let's just, I don't know, keep that in mind. I don't think that's any different than Joe next door having a pool party every Saturday and Sunday. And the street being packed with cars.
I understand that.
Because I
My-
think
Like I
those
said,
service
I mean, I
oriented
personally,
people are gonna be focused on making their neighborhood and keeping them happy.
Yeah, as far away as my neighbors are, I wouldn't know. So if my neighbor had a home occupation and I don't see the cars coming and going, as he said, that nobody complains about it, the reality is, it is what it is. You know, I don't think it's a big deal. I probably, if anything, it gives us a little teeth.
Well,
That if
what,
there is a complaint, we should at least listen to it.
let me ask you this, would a compromise to that be if you allow Sunday to limit the hours, lessen the hours on Sunday?
Yeah.
In an effort to kind of meet both,
Like 8 to 5, or something like that.
yeah, or 9 to 5, or 10 to 5, or just people that maybe want to sleep in a little bit on Sunday or something, and if their neighbor does have a business, and, you know.
How about 10 to 3?
I mean, I'm just throwing that out there just as a possible compromise.
If it is an issue with enough people, we have to look at a compromise or
I
something.
mean, I know there's some bakers and stuff that, you know,
There are people.
they keep coming to pick up their pumpkin rolls, for God's sakes. I don't wanna keep them from trucking. I love pumpkin rolls. If I want it on a Sunday, I'm taking it on a Sunday.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Taking it for the team.
So, just my opinion.
And like I started saying, my hairdresser, she has her own business, still brick and mortar, but she comes to those of us that can't get to her on Sundays. So you're limiting me saying, oh, well, you can't get your hair taken care of. Is that fair?
I mean, I get what you're saying, Chuck, about if there was a complaint, then at least this has the ability to those who are complaining, you know, and I get that.
It has substance.
That's why I
Well,
said,
as long as we have enough teeth in the rest of it, that, about the vehicles and on the street and all of that, as long as there's enough other paragraphs in there. You know, when there's a complaint, all they have to do is go to anything and find a chapter, a
I
paragraph,
think,
and one line in there that says what you shall do. If they're not doing that, it has nothing to do with the hours of operation.
Correct.
They can complain about that issue.
you may want to look at the vehicle thing and tighten that up, whereas it basically says about customer vehicles, correct?
Yeah,
Doesn't say anything about the owner of the residence pulling their 2 or 3 vehicles on the street so their customers can park off the street. So if your intent is to keep vehicles from parking on the street for that business, then maybe you want to tighten up your definition of vehicles.
But you're more worried about traffic.
yeah, because I mean, if the road is not a no parking road, we can't stop anybody from
Right.
parking there, especially a resident. It doesn't matter if they empty out, if they have
Right.
10 cars and they put them all down the street, nothing we can really do about it. But I see your point,
Yeah.
you're trying to tighten the own business up to say, in a residential district, don't be upsetting your neighbors.
Right,
You
correct.
know, that's all.
So
And
do
if
we
the
have
neighbors
that
say
problem on a
nothing,
Saturday?
sorry,
Do we have that problem on a Saturday now? Cause Saturdays they can do business.
I can tell you how many home businesses I know. One is white,
And
that's
I,
it,
and I know a couple.
yeah. It's
Well,
not like this is
honestly,
a
I
big
can't-
issue.
I can't honestly say that I've seen any.
I'm not aware of any
The
issues.
glass guy, does he still do this over here, behind this mic?
Who?
The glass guy, is he still over there doing that?
Not really.
He built that tall building for.
I'm not aware of any issues that I've
No.
heard of.
So pool part is not covered.
A lot of this coming forward is because.
But that doesn't mean
our
somebody else
ordinance
can't
was in
do
the
a
70s.
business and that could change.
We had a lot of businesses in time in the
Correct.
70s when this was originally written.
Right.
And you can't completely take it out, so it is where it is. I don't think it's offensive now. If you extend your Sunday hours, again, if there's a problem, there's enough other teeth in here, solve the problem.
So we're saying to change it Monday through Sunday, 8 to 8?
I would do what was suggested about the 8 to 4 or something like that
Okay.
Nine
So,
to five.
okay, on Sunday.
on Sunday.
On Sunday.
Gotcha.
Give people their part of Sunday, you know.
Dinner, so they
Give
got a
it
good
a
dinner.
couple hours in the morning and, you know, yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to an 8 to 8 on Sundays. All right, she puts it in that way? No problem with it, anybody?
So 8 to 8.
Sunday, 8 to
Monday
4.
through Saturday,
Okay, and then
8 to 4 on Monday.
You don't think eight's too early on a Sunday?
Yes, I do.
Or, yeah, 9 to 4.
Maybe 10?
Hold up, Terry, just because you sleep in till
10 to
11 o'clock every day.
Yeah,
But
and,
Sunday is church day too.
and I had the neighbor come over and fire his lawnmower up at 8 o'clock on Sunday too. Yeah.
It's cooler at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
10 to 4.
right now I have it
I like
listed 9 to 4, well, right now I have Monday through Sunday, or do you wanna permit times for Sunday, 9 to 4 p.m.? So after this meeting, I'm gonna email you guys all these changes so that you have them immediately.
Are we gonna seriously get it from you, Chelsea, and not some random
It might
person that
come
calls
from
me
Mr.
about it?
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Hacker?
Some other hacker, that was not me, I'm not capable of doing it.
So
Not that
Chelsea,
savvy.
you have it 8 to 8 Monday through Saturday, and Sunday is what, till
9 to
4?
9 to 4.
9?
Okay.
Yeah.
7-hour day,
Yeah.
a long day,
I typed them in 4 now.
and then you make it 10. Well, so somebody figure that out.
But when can you mow your grass on a Sunday?
Wait, can you mow your grass?
On the Sunday.
Whenever you want.
I don't really care when they mow the grass, I just don't like listening to it 8 o'clock in the morning right next to my bedroom window.
Right, but if people are mowing their grass at 8 o'clock, why can't they do their own business at 8 o'clock?
Well, I'll tell you what, more than likely, if my neighbor next door to me was doing something, I probably wouldn't hear him. In all honesty, I mean, the houses and everything is quiet enough, the people don't make usually a lot of noise, you know, going in, they're not so noisy. The doors don't slam like they did in the old cars and stuff, so they're pretty quiet and everything like that. They don't make really much noise at all. I don't know when they come and go, and don't really care, but that lawnmower coming through that John Deere at 8 o'clock in the morning does make a lot of noise.
So then maybe we go and change that.
Yeah,
Like
when
to
it's
change
not
it,
good
I don't know,
here.
All right,
So are you doing, you saying 9 to 4?
I put 9 to 4 in there on Sunday.
Are you okay with 9 to 4?
It's a happy compromise. Sure.
What if I want this long?
Okay, so,
Go ahead.
hookah bar slash lounge.
Mr. Mayor.
Hookah bars.
Number 26, hookah bar slash lounge.
Yes.
Under A, the very last sentence, all hookah bar lounge activities shall take place indoors. Should that be a new line?
Where are you at, Bonnie?
You mean like being
What-
B?
What page?
Go down, or just the very next page for you. It's
Yeah, kinda
hookah bar,
lost.
number 26.
I think it's self-explanatory, right?
Do you mean you wanna make that letter B and then move everything else down?
I think so, yeah, because it's
A different
subject.
Wait, from A,
all that she's saying
it's
is
an
just,
activity bar lounge activity shall take place indoors. You wanna stop the sentence there and start a second one, no outdoor seating.
No,
no, just
I
make
would take
it
that entire sentence and make it
B,
letter B.
and then everything moves down, C, D, E. That's fine, it's not changing it substantively, all it is just changing it
How much is it?
from the paragraph.
Page 61, junk doors, number 28.
Mhm.
A, be operated on property shall be, and then the next line back at least, and then I think the A needs to be the next line.
Hold on a second,
Be operated on property
containing at least 50 acres of ground, and all vehicles shall be set back at least, A, B.
That's
You're
nice
correct.
and all, guys, what's the chances of us allowing a junkyard?
Well, we still have
There,
to,
Harrison City Road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, we had one for many years.
there we go, I just changed it to,
Yeah, we did.
I made it, I took out B, and it's gonna be little I, and then the next one, it'll be B, it should be B, or this should be,
oh yeah, it should be A, you know.
yeah, it'll be little I, and then 100 feet away from, 100 feet from any other building will be II.
Number
Okay.
32, manufactured home park, the highlight just needs removed.
You don't like it highlighted?
I don't.
Actually, about let somebody highlight that, I just got the copy.
I don't know how it got highlighted. Now I highlighted it.
I was gonna say, how did that go, jumped out?
All right, sorry, go ahead. Fine.
Under mobile food vendors,
Page or number.
65,
Number?
Page 65.
36, mobile food vendors, page 65.
Main and bold. Go ahead.
Yeah, that too.
Yep.
Under G2,
Yep.
second line, by the Borough Police Department, if the mobile food vending is causing, contributing to, or I think is, should be added.
It's causing, contributing to, or is.
Part
Part
of
of.
a public safety
Yep.
concern. But then the rest of the sentence, I'm not quite sure of, because then it says or disturbance, should that be for disturbance?
Is a public safety or disturbance.
I have it says or, but that's the original draft.
It says or disturbance.
Or disturbance, it makes us.
And then,
It should
and
be
accessible trash
disturbance or
should be and
accessible
or.
trash.
And or.
Yeah.
And we'll add in or. Okay.
Okay, letter M, exceptions, same topic. Number 1, where it starts, mobile food vendors is defined by this ordinance.
Wait.
67.
Page 67,
Mhm.
letter M, exceptions, number 1.
Exemptions, yep, got it.
1, 2, 3, fourth row down is the number 2, that should be on the next line.
That makes sense, because we had a 1. Okay.
Page 83.
What's, I got a question, in here, you talk about neighborhood mobile food vending.
Yes.
We're talking about little kid that's doing a lemonade stand.
That is listed
that-
somewhere as being an exception.
Yeah, so
No, that's
number
what I mean,
2.
I didn't know what, yeah, but you're not gonna require mobile food vendors under exceptions or whatever to provide proof of licensing?
Yes.
No, if you go back up, they have a whole bunch that they have to do, but, because these have become more prominent, people actually hire mobile food vendors to come to their homes for parties, whether private parties, whatever they're doing, and so, what was your question, Joe? Whether we're gonna
Licensing.
require
Their
insurance,
licensing.
D, must have valid license plates, inspections, registration, insurance, liability, and then E is liability insurance.
Now, what about food truck licensing, either through the Department of Agriculture or? I know Allegheny County issues their own, the Department of Agriculture will accept an Allegheny County one, but Allegheny County, if you're in Allegheny County, won't accept the Department of Agriculture one, so. Is that what you mean by permits here? Because you talk about a Westmoreland County Health Department, which doesn't exist.
So we should put, because it was usually go under, I was
It
thinking.
would have to, it would have to probably be the, PA Department of Agriculture.
Let's do that, that's what it should be, hold on a minute.
You're talking about F1, right?
Yes.
Department, hold on. PA Department.
It also talks about a permit, and Joe, I guess you could create one.
I'm sorry, what?
It says about having a permit from the borough, and we did not, in planning, we did not make one.
No, so, yeah, and I don't know which, I mean, because I've seen where people will hire a food truck to come in for an event, and the person hosting the event is paying for it. But I've also seen, a couple years back, people would try to do these pop-up food trucks in their neighborhood, and anybody patronizing the food truck paid themselves. So in that instance, would that food truck need a solicitor's permit from the borough?
Well, I think that's what falls under the permit
Yes.
that they have to get. So they have to get a permit regardless from the borough, if it's a private event or if it's like a pop-up. So I think that.
So you're saying we have to come up, I mean, with a permit. No, like I said, we have the solicitor's permit already that exists for solicitation in the borough, which is basically for selling things. So that would be
Very
if they're
close.
selling them, but I didn't know if, like I said, if Chuck hires a food truck to come up to a party he's having and he's paying for it and just, they're just serving food, that would probably be something
Yeah,
different.
but if you drove up the street, saw the truck, got out, went in and paid on your own and put it in your car and left by rights, they're conducting business then. It's not a
Correct,
party.
correct.
Yeah, so that one that was done here, they parked in the cul-de-sac and told all the neighborhood that there would be one parked here, Friday night for whatever period of time, and people were lining up and paying on their own, so yes, that.
I'm talking about where people aren't paying on their own. But you're saying, well, they would need a permit regardless.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the local ice cream truck that comes cruising in here one night has to, what?
They should have a solicitor's permit.
Yeah.
Also, if it's a private hire, they have to have, homeowners or owner of the property's acknowledgement included. So it's just an extra fail-safe there. Sorry, did we already do exemptions, number 1, with
Yeah.
you putting up?
Yeah, I made it one too.
I heard you say page 83.
Yep.
She jumped that many pages ahead.
Page
don't
83.
stop.
What page we on?
83.
83?
Number 45, research laboratory, page
Give me a second.
83.
83.
Wait, say that again.
Number 45, research laboratory. And then page 83.
My research laboratory is on 80.
Well, yeah, sorry, but I'm looking at 83.
So you're looking at 83 to change something on page 83?
Yeah.
Okay.
C, D, E, F, G, a traffic impact study is required, I think should be H.
Yeah, that should be a bullet point.
Which one are you on?
It's page 83.
Theater.
But what's the category?
Theater.
Research laboratory.
Research laboratory.
No.
Research laboratory begins on page 80.
Okay.
Hold on.
Hold on, because I'm under theater as well on that.
Research laboratory begins on page 80. Yeah.
Is,
And then
But then
it goes to satellite parking. Then it goes to shopping center. I think you meant theater on page. You are missing pages, Bonnie.
oh, I'm so sorry.
That-
that's okay.
Oh,
I think
sorry.
I was
you,
confused by that too.
I am, I'm so sorry.
that's
It
okay.
is under theater.
E, F, G,
All right,
H.
what are we talking about now?
H, I just have to put the letter H by traffic.
Traffic impact study is required for a theater?
Yeah.
But then I think 50 should be I, and A should be J.
Yes, you're probably correct, yes. So H, damn, sorry.
Almost done.
Promise?
H,
But they're valid points, so.
J,
Yeah, Joe's next, so.
J. And utility stations then becomes 50.
Hey,
Go.
is there any reason we need the engineer at this point? Does anybody have a reason behind it?
Is that another
I think you
question
should
for
save the good humor selling it.
And the map does show the green area for, Mr.
Marcy,
Sandy.
this,
Yeah.
the lots 11 and 12 you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Page 88, which is section 903, types and classes.
Hold on. 86, 87, yes. Types of what?
Types and classes.
Yep.
So under A, classes, go to number 4, bulletin board,
And then it should say roof sign is number, got
5.
it. So it should be 5, 6, 7.
Good night, Mr. Antonelli.
Good night.
Yeah, but then changeable copy, manual and electronic, I think should be 8, and then types is what becomes B.
So Bonnie, first, A classes goes 1 through 6,
Currently, but I think it should go 1 through 8.
1 through 8. Freestanding wall, arcade,
903.
bulletin board, roof sign,
903.
overhanging.
903.
Billboard,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
changeable copy.
Yes, you're correct. That should not, that should have been a type of sign, or class of sign. And then we do B is,
Yeah.
gotcha. No, I want that to be B. Hold on. I hate auto format, but I'm making it a B. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this becomes, sorry, Bonnie. 6, that becomes 7. And this will unbold. Did I get rid of one?
So freestanding, wall, arcade, bulletin board, roof, overhanging, billboard, changeable copy.
Sorry, guys.
And then B should be types, is that what you're saying, Mom?
The auto format, okay.
Alright, we did pull out pages.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Yep. Are there any other comments from the public?
Oh, can I
Yeah.
add?
Go ahead. Give it on.
The county sent information about solar and solar farms out, and Planning Commission hasn't had a chance to review that to add that to the zoning. And so I'm asking if it would be possible to keep the hearing open to give Planning Commission a chance to add that in.
So,
Another month.
so there's 2 ways to deal with it. You can keep the matter open, council can keep the matter open for public hearings and continue to add testimony for this. Or the other option is planning could then just do another zoning amendment, follow through, look at the solar, see what they want to do or not do, and then you amend this ordinance, hopefully that gets adopted. That's your choices, just so you know.
Do you have?
That they just sent out about solars is in their own words, isn't even complete. They're just using it to open the door for solar right now throughout the county.
It was just a draft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not really for us to review it even in planning, or reviewing something that tomorrow could substantially change.
Right, but I think it's important and prudent that we address it, because I know there are a
We can
couple.
address it at planning, but that could take months.
There are a couple homes in my area that have solar panels on their roofs. We have that place in Penn Township that has like the solar panels on their land. It's not far off.
Yeah,
And I think we need to be-
I understand that.
To have a solar
But
farm there,
The
you're gonna need a lot
minute,
more
the minute
property.
somebody breathes new words.
But we don't have anything to say that I couldn't put 10 solar panels in my backyard as long as they were within the boundary. So I think we need to take the baby step to address it. If we're doing all this work now, why ignore something that we know is and could be on the forefront?
Because you're asking we have been so incorrect since the map was complete. And now we finally have gotten to this point where we should be, and we should stop the process again over something that no one else has finalized. The county hasn't sent anything down saying, this is what's gonna be in our comprehensive plan. They're just talking about it. So why would we want to stop? As Chelsea said, if we take the time and have no pressure on us to look at solar and put something together that can be a standalone that becomes an amendment, that's a perfectly normal part of our process.
So would there be a public hearing for that amendment?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I would just,
Okay.
yes.
yeah.
Okay, well then I changed my mind, because I figured it could be like a polarizing topic. And I would imagine that residents would possibly care. So then, yeah, I take that back and hopefully planning can add. Because it is our purpose to look into the future of where the borough is heading. And this is a possibility. So it is the
It is.
responsibility of the planning commission to look at it.
If you really want to look at the future, it's called a comprehensive plan. It looks like 15 years.
Yeah, and we don't have one, so we can
Right.
add that to the list of things to do.
That could be next.
Saldo. is
That'll keep
next.
you busy for a while. Thank you, I appreciate you understanding that. We'll do it as an amendment when the time comes. It'd be much cleaner. Love you, BJ.
Yeah, they can only soak up so much. Your brains aren't dead.
Everybody left.
Nobody else in the public has comment? What about council? Does anyone have any statements? Joe, do you?
I mean, I have some questions, if you don't mind, I'll go through them pretty quick here. Questions actually were some of the same that Bonnie had with questions, but I'll try to be brief. Section 104D, it talks about no permit issued by authorization of the zoning hearing board is set forth hereafter shall be renewed except by authority of the zoning hearing. Well, the zoning hearing board doesn't really issue permits, so I was a little confused by that. Should it be zoning officer?
Well, no, I mean, ultimately, the zoning officer issues the permit, but if the application and the permit's either denied, it goes to the zoning hearing board for, you know what I'm saying, the process, so it's, the scope of it is through the zoning hearing board, and that's why it's written that way, but
So are you saying then if Mr. Smith applies for something, the zoning officer denies it, he goes to the zoning hearing board for variance, and the zoning hearing board issues it, then say that permit lingers for a while, and he doesn't do his work, then this is saying that only the zoning hearing board can renew it.
yes, that's what that's saying,
So he'd have to come before the zoning hearing board for another hearing.
correct.
Okay. Makes
Yeah, and that does happen.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
I had a question on your definition of basement. Any area of the building having its floor below ground level on all sides. I didn't see anything else in here that if somebody has a walkout basement that's not below ground on all sides, and how would that conflict with our floodplain ordinance that talks about the lowest flood elevation floor, which doesn't necessarily have to be
You're right,
underground.
but instead of underground, it should be under grade.
Under what?
Below grade?
Yes,
Below
because
grade.
grade is starting at your high point, it grades down the sides. So that last open wall that you walk out is under that grade, not ground.
Okay,
So maybe that's the only.
so that's a change.
Then I just put it in there, even though I'm calling this Bonnie's suggestion. I'll put Bonnie and, that's what I sent, but I am emailing this to everybody as we sit here after this hearing closes.
Okay.
Question for a minute.
I didn't know if you needed a.
Oh, on that?
Yeah.
Oh, he has a question on that.
Oh, sorry.
You're saying all four sides have to have ground around?
No,
Okay.
it has to be under grade. Grade is when you take one wall
Okay.
and establish a level on your yard. The thing that's most common everybody knows is the grade goes down on the sides.
Okay, okay.
So
The back wall may
that
not.
back wall, even though it's not covered,
Okay,
it's under grade.
gotcha,
Okay?
gotcha. Thank you.
You have a definition for caregiver, parentheses, medical marijuana, but do you need a definition in here just for a caregiver? Is there any applications for that, or just?
Yes, there's a reason for it. So, to go into a medical marijuana facility, if you are unable to get in there, you can, the Department of Health issues cards for caregivers to physically take those individuals in the building.
Okay.
That's why that's in there.
Childcare facility, you are exempting churches.
Correct.
Sometimes churches operate childcare facilities for profit. They do charge. I didn't know if that mattered.
It's up to you guys whether you want it in there or not.
I mean, I'm not sure what your intent was there, but just a question.
Can the church be in that paragraph? You saying that one is under daycare?
Childcare center / facility, it exempts bona fide schools or churches and other religious or public institution caring for children within an institutional building or apply to a custodial relationship fixed by a court. So I guess, in that sense, I guess if they are operating a daycare or childcare within their building, it probably would fall under childcare facility, only if they're there for like religious instruction or educational instruction, would they be exempt?
Yes.
Okay.
But remember too, if they are generating income, this doesn't exempt you from earned income tax or
Okay.
things like that.
Further down, you talk about a contractor storage yard, but there's no definition for what a contractor is.
So the way a court would interpret a contractor, they use the common Black Laws Dictionary or Webster's Dictionary for a contractor. Unless you guys think you need a definition of who a contractor is, I think it's pretty,
I know our current ordinance was lacking in definitions, so,
yeah.
I know I talked to you, Chelsea, about under your definition for medical marijuana, we just have Act 16. I don't know if you want to clarify Act 16 of 2016, because the year need to be included, because there could be an Act 16 or another year.
What's your question?
More than one
Okay,
Act 16.
medical marijuana. It does indicate medical marijuana, Act 16 of 2016.
And originally under mobile food vendor, you had Borough of Jefferson Hills, assuming you caught that already.
Yeah.
Definition of street. At the very end, there's type of use as follows, colon. Is there something missing there, or just?
I'm looking for street first. A right-of-way intended primarily for vehicular traffic, usually provided for utilities, pedestrian travel. A street may be designated by other appropriate names such as a highway, thoroughfare, boulevard, parkway, road, avenue, drive, lane, or place. Did I miss something?
Drive lane or place.
Yeah.
And then in the original, it had a street may also be identified according to type of use as follows.
That's not in here anymore?
Okay, so we took that out, I think.
Okay.
See, Joe, I told you there was change.
Yeah, I know. When I was, there was a typo in 301 where it said manner, M-A-N-O-R, instead of manner, maybe, common manner of purpose of the entity.
Hold on.
Second sentence, districts established.
Oh, common. Yeah, manner of purpose.
Let me cover the open space. Cover that. I don't know for floodplain ordinance under H, floodplain overlay district, you just have ordinance number 525. I mean, technically it's 525, 1102, -11-02.
What, can you give me?
We have
Yeah.
that.
Under,
Is that in there
You
now?
fixed it, yeah.
is
Okay,
it in there? I'm sorry, I know I'm working off this. but-
I just don't know where you are, Joe, I'm trying to find it.
And it's also fixed under, where it's referenced again, in that same paragraph, it's fixed there as well.
Under, you talk about county tax assessment maps on the zoning district boundaries, I know Mike has those.
No, I'm talking about floodplain overlay district, where you said about ordinance 525.
1102.
It's referenced again a couple, sentences later. So I didn't know if in your copy, it wasn't complete.
No, okay, yeah, probably not. So I didn't know if you want us to try to get updated county tax assessment maps, that was just a question.
I don't know that we, which section are you on, Joe? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, we'll try to go pretty fast here.
He's on page 21.
Am I-
Okay.
Under zoning maps, 304, zoning district boundaries.
May I approach?
Sure. So, I got it.
It's just a question if you think we need to try to get updated maps, that's all.
Let's put it in the same, so, where is that? Under number 2. And it's -11-02, let's just put it in correctly. 11-02, okay, boom. -11-02, as amended, okay, thanks, Bonnie.
Okay, I am on where it talks about swimming pools. The page, I don't know if my pages are lining up exactly as yours because I'm on this laptop. It's roughly page 25 here where it talks about number 8, D8, where it talks about swimming pool. You talk about more than 2 feet in height, and then you talk about less than 2 feet in height. I believe the UCC classifies anything 24 inches or higher.
Page 24.
So we have greater and we have less than, but we don't have it as 24 inches. I'm pretty sure the UCC classifies at 24 inches or above as a swimming pool.
Okay, so hold on a minute. Paragraph,
D8 under, I was on page 25. We
got
were-
it. So for purposes of swimming pool, no. D8, for purposes of section, a swimming pool shall mean an above ground pool, below ground, temporary or collapsible structure, more than 2 feet in height and capable of holding more than 5,000 gallons of water for swimming, play, or recreation purposes. And what are you saying?
And then you have a structure less than 2 feet in height.
For capable of holding less than 5,000 water shall not be
Okay.
quote unquote a swimming pool for purposes of this section.
Right, so the UCC classifies a swimming pool as being 24 inches or higher. You have less than, you have greater than.
Nothing at 24 inches.
Right. So do you want to
So,
clarify that?
a
Be consistent with
structure,
the UCC?
I think we should say 2 feet, we should say less than 2 feet in the second paragraph.
Well, I think it's the first sentence where you have more than 2 feet,
I think we should say 2 feet in height or greater,
you know, whatever, we just didn't have anything
or
for
a
24
collapsible
inches.
structure. 2 feet in height or greater, that's the way I'll write it. That way it captures the 24 inches and greater, and it follows the UCC.
24 inches, well, not have a basement, right?
So, Joe, at 24 inches, 2 feet, do you have to have a fence under the UCC? That's what you're,
you're saying, so.
I believe
Permanent structure.
it's classified as a swimming pool, so whatever the requirements are
Yeah,
for a
so
swimming
then-
pool, like 24 inches,
So
yes.
2 feet, 24 inches in height or greater, you must have. Anything below 2 feet or 23 inches or whatever centimeters, you're okay.
Less than people who do 23 inches something. Probably can't do that.
But this way it captures both. It captures 2 feet and greater and everything less than 2 feet now. Okay.
Okay, so moving down to just below their subsection E, where it says
Utility shed?
location of utility sheds. So currently, you need a zoning permit for all sheds. I'm not sure if we're still requiring that. And then what about sheds over 200 square feet? And then.
You would then have to go get a variance. That's
So
what this
any
is.
shed over, so any shed over 200 square feet, you're not allowed to put in your yard?
Well, I'm not saying you're not allowed, you just
Well-
have to, it's a variance from
So
what
right
this is
now,
saying.
100, I believe it's 150 square feet or less has to be 6 feet off the property line. If it's over that, you can have it, but it has to be, the side yard setbacks, or I think it's 10 feet from the rear possibly. So you're saying you're classifying a shed as anything 200 square feet or less.
Correct.
If it's over that, it's not a shed.
Well, it can still be a shed, but now you have to come and ask for a variance to ask for a larger shed. Because our ordinance says, if you pass this, you only have 200 square feet.
Okay, so if it's 200 square feet or less, there's no permit required, you just put it up.
No, I think you. Correct, I'm reading this, yes.
Says no development permit is required for construction of such a utility shed.
Yeah,
Okay. Right. And then for this no impact home-based business, my only question was, do you have to have language from the definition section included in there? Is it sufficient that it's in the definition section? Like, for example, involves no customer, client, patient traffic, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah, that's all in there.
Okay. Down on I, fences. And it talks about a fence may be erected at any required side, the rear yard on properties of residential use provided. So does this mean, like currently you can put a fence in the front of your house? And the only comment is it has to be 6 feet off the street, which then also still puts it in most places within the borough's right of way, utility right of ways, things like that. So is this saying that you can't put a fence to the front of your house? No?
So, just give me the section, I'm sorry, I'm looking for it.
I, right below the.
A fence may
shed.
be erected in any required side or rear yard on property. So technically, the way this is written, it's only reflecting side and rear. If we want to allow for front yard, you can include that as well.
Well, and I'm saying I would be careful with that because a lot of the fences in front yards now are within the borough's right of way, the utility company's right of ways. It can be problematic when there's things that need dug up within that right of way.
We didn't put anything in here to allowing them, no fence may be erected in any required residential front yard.
Where's that at?
6. Fences.
Okay, I see it. So
I
we're not
fences
gonna
are
permit
six.
fences in the front yard. That was, okay.
Yeah, no fences in the front yard, and everything in this requirement is about rear and sides.
Okay.
Correct.
Down on where you have, fences 2 feet off property line unless an abutting property owner consents in writing to a placement on the common property. What happens when that property owner moves and new property owner doesn't want his neighbor's fence there anymore.
I think you can only go, once
If
it's
on the
erected,
property line.
Well,
so,
it's 2 feet off because it should be the same thing, we should be doing the same thing with landscaping. Everything should be 2 feet off for the purpose of that, you're the owner of that structure or that greenery. You must maintain it. What has been allowed and is really becoming a bigger issue is someone says, here's the property line, they plant the tree on the property line. The branches grow, the neighbor got a problem.
Right.
They take a fence, they put the fence right on the line, unless that neighbor says, go ahead and do it, that one who put it in, they only restain and take care of their side. Now the neighbor looks at junk. If you have the 2 feet there, they're required to maintain it
I know,
without trespassing.
that's what I'm asking, Chuck, because this is saying you can't put it on a common property line with your abutting property owner's consent.
Right, with their
Right.
consent,
So
right.
what if I put my fence on our property line and then you sell your house and Terry moves in and
once
he
it's
doesn't
in,
want
it's
that
in.
fence?
I don't think you can go, once the fence is in and it's a fixture to the property, you're not gonna then, you're selling that property to a new owner.
I just think.
Everybody's on notice.
I think that's a slippery slope.
Yeah, but when me as the seller, I gave permission, I gave up my right to keep that property off. So when I go to sell it, it's the same as if I gave an easement to somebody.
So then you should have a recorded document at the courthouse between you and your neighbor then saying that.
You can,
Yeah.
but realistically, you have the document here. Even if it's not the courthouse, it's just like an occupancy permit or zoning change, that something else that stays here.
Mhm.
Once it's here, the guy who should always have that document is the guy who erected the fence.
Right.
But
Okay.
realistically, you can't, once you give up something of a right you have on your property, you've given it up for your buyer.
Okay, and that's fine,
And some might just say, I'm not buying it because I'm not maintaining the neighbor's fence.
and then my other question is, are they still gonna be required to do a zoning permit for a fence? And then is there any other requirements as far as a survey or a plot plan or something? Because we have had people like erect fences on somebody else's property because they have no idea where their property boundaries are.
So I believe the language about the budding property owner consents and regs to placement was written that way because there was discussions at planning commission about requiring surveys to do this that are expensive. And planning didn't want the property owners to have to necessarily do a survey and spend all this money to maybe only, because some people only want it on one side, they might not have a whole, So that was, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chuck, that they didn't want homeowners to have to spend an extra.
How do you, we just had, okay, since you brought that up, we had a homeowner that wanted to erect a fence on one side of her property.
Yeah.
So she was required to get a survey. And the survey turned up an easement that we didn't know was there. So what do you do in that situation if you don't make him have a survey, the easement's not uncovered, something happens, it's an easement that nobody in the borough remembered or forgot about or whatever, and then you have to go in there and do something? Well, we gave her permission to put that fence. But then by giving her that zoning permit or that permit for the fence, we're saying it's okay to put your fence up.
Well, yeah, but the thing that attorneys like to say is that we gave you that right to put it up, but we're not guaranteeing you're doing it right. We're saying you want to get a survey and attach it and put it 2 feet off, great.
Okay.
Go ahead and do that, but if you don't want to spend the $1,000 on a survey, you're still,
Where did he go?
Hang on,
Time out.
hold up.
We no longer are a quorum. Dave left.
Do we know if Dave left just to
he,
go
by
outside?
his finger, he's starting to bleed.
I have a Band-Aid.
That's his truck.
All right,
That's his job.
so,
So we're done.
well, so it's up to, unfortunately, we don't have a quorum any longer, so,
Well, what if we call him on the phone if he stays on the phone, it'll suffice, right, because he was here to start.
I think
She can't
so.
copy it.
Well, regardless.
So, I guess,
Well, how many more changes do you have?
I mean, I'm already halfway through this already.
When you, can you shift those questions, to Chelsea
She-
when she ships this out to all of us for
She already does
tomorrow?
it.
yeah, so here's what I suggest, that Joe, went before, if this matter, because we have to end now, since we don't have a quorum. At this point, it's your decision whether you wanna close the hearing. Joe can always raise these issues to council at the meeting, and just because I might not have a full ordinance together, because additional changes may be required by council, after you guys have further discussion on the record, you know, the following day, that I can draft all of those according to whatever the motion is to pass or reject.
Well, you were saying about, I should make a motion to approve with the changes made tonight. Can we not?
You cannot do that.
Can't do that because we don't have a quorum.
You can't even do that because this is just a public
Yeah.
hearing
Well,
on the
right.
matter. You cannot adopt anything tonight.
Right,
Can I make a
no,
motion
not
to
tonight,
adjourn?
no, wait, I'm not saying that. You mentioned about,
But she has to either close the record now or leave it open.
you said.
So the question is, do we want to, first let's figure out, and then we can get off of the public hearing and we can have, I can explain the process. But, so, do we want to close the public hearing?
Yes.
Do we have a choice? I think we have to.
Okay, so we're gonna.
You don't, I mean, you don't have to.
Actually, the moment they left, we don't, right, we just can't do any further public, right?
Correct, the
No,
public hearing
no,
has
no.
to.
But this stays open until tomorrow night.
No, you either close the hearing, you cannot move or
close the
do
hearing.
anything, yeah, this is a hearing today. You cannot make a decision until the hearing is
There's no
closed.
vote needed to close it though, right?
No, there's no vote to need to
No.
close it, it's just if we're closing the public hearing then tonight, and then tomorrow, so do we have, first let's close, and then do we have a motion to adjourn?
I've already made the motion to adjourn, and yes, let's close the hearing for
Okay,
tonight.
is,
Do we have a second?
second,
Right?
Okay.
all,
All
Aye.
in favor?
okay.
All
Stand up.
opposed?
So procedurally, we're not on the record anymore. So procedurally, tomorrow at the meeting, if Joe has more comments, because this is gonna be on the agenda.
Does it mean we're gonna have enough time to read all that?
I
during the
can,
meeting time?
I'll send you what I didn't go. But it'll be, no, it's the first draft, but it's substantially the same as my comments. I'll try to go through and clean it up, because some of the stuff Lonnie brought up, and those comments I had too. So I'll send it to you, it's about, we're through like the first 30 pages, if you want to look at it.
All right, so Chuck, off the record. Off the record, I have a question for you. Is there anywhere in here, addressing dog habits?
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
Dog
Huh?
habits.
And,
Joe, he's
Kennels.
got
Yes.
one of
yeah,
those tables.
kennels, we have kennels.
I can give you the-
I ain't either, somebody's gonna have to.
But if it's a dog pen on a residential property.
So that we don't have to attach it right now, we need to later, if somebody appeals.
According to
So
Jason.
I'm not ordering this unless I'm ready.
You can call it dog pen. As tall as a little arm, as long as it's
Right.
on
Right.
whatever location on it.